Welcome to the Holistic Living Podcast, my beautiful friends. You can expect my uncensored, real, and honest thoughts on a wide variety of health topics. If you love to learn on ways to improve your health, your life, your mindset, your emotions, and everything in between in a natural way, you are in the right place, and I am so excited to have you here. Hey everyone, welcome to episode 18 of the Holistic Living Podcast. I can't believe we're already on episode 18. It's crazy. I've been having the best time doing these recordings for you guys, and I've been getting great feedback, so I appreciate all the love and support so far. Please keep sharing this podcast with your friends and family. The more listens we get, the larger audience we can reach, which is the goal, obviously. So today we're talking about face mapping, and this is a fascinating topic, guys. I love being able to, this is going to sound weird, but look at someone's face and tell a lot about their health, or maybe some of the underlying imbalances that they have based on the way that their face looks, their skin looks, things like that. There is so much technicalities to face mapping. There's so many different things to look at, and you'll notice that if you work with a practitioner who is very skilled and who has been doing face mapping for a long time, they can pick up things you didn't even realize about your own face, your own skin. It's really fascinating. I love just when I'm working with someone, the first thing is just, even if I'm not working with them, just looking at their skin, looking at their face, looking at, their oral health, like their tongue, their gums, and just seeing what the body's telling us through the skin. So that's what we're talking about today. So physical observations of someone's face is very important to determine their nutritional status and their organ functions, as well as their degree of toxicity. So just by looking at the way that someone looks, their appearance in terms of their skin health will tell us their nutrient status, the way that, whether or not their organs are functioning optimally, like the liver, the kidneys, how toxic they might be. There's so much to know and to look at. The skin is the most sizable and unappreciated organ of the body. Because it is external, we can see the many disorders that afflict it, and it can help us understand what is happening inside the body as a result. Skin color, skin tone, things like acne and other skin issues, overall condition of the skin, so the elasticity, the dryness, the sensitivity, these things will often change in the presence of an illness. And you can see somebody who, the younger years of part of their life, their skin is smooth and beautiful. It's like they have no pores. And then as we go through life, which a normal part of this is aging and sun damage and things, but we'll start to see their skin is drier, or maybe it's more dull, like it has less, I don't want to say shine to it, but just less life to it. You'll notice the pores get larger. Maybe there's scarring and acne and all kinds of things. And these are things that, yes, of course, are a result of aging. But what is aging? It is our body starting to not function optimally. And what causes our body to not function optimally? Again, it's that nutritional status. It's the nutrient deficiencies. It's inflammation. It's toxicity. So these are the things that drive the aging process, and therefore drive worsening conditions of our skin. We're not just going to talk about the skin today. We're talking about our oral health. We're going to talk about the eyes. So a bunch of things. But apart from certain skin conditions, such as contact dermatitis, most skin problems will stem from poor function of the digestive tract. Some skin issues may relate to a hormonal imbalance that's encountered mainly during the teen years, but also in women with PCOS, endometriosis, menopause, etc. Skin issues could also be a result of allergies, food sensitivities, and toxicity in the body. But regardless of where the acne is, or the rashes, or the skin issues, and regardless of where it's stemming from, at the end of the day, acne, or really any skin issues, so eczema, psoriasis, etc., indicates that there are toxins that are not exiting the body through the main eliminatory channels, mainly the liver and the kidneys, and so they're being pushed out through our skin. I made a whole podcast going into the concept of drainage and what that means and why the toxins would be pushed out through the skin. So if you have not had a chance to listen to that, I believe that was episode 17, so please have a listen. It was really informative. So this means that at the very root of the skin issues lies liver and kidney toxicity along with colon toxicity. So while your acne may be hormonal related or due to allergies, while you work on improving those areas, you should also always work on improving the function of the emunctories while cleansing out the colon. So a liver kidney detox is always recommended when working on the skin, and at the same time doing a colon cleanse. There's almost always inflammation in the gut from pathogens and from toxins that need to be pushed out as well. So you wouldn't have a skin issue, whether it's hormonal related or not, if you didn't first have the liver and kidney imbalance and the pathogens in the gut. Once you have that initial imbalance, then your body will start to become more susceptible and start using the skin as an eliminatory organ more often once hormones are out of balance or allergies are there, things like that. I hope that makes sense. So everyone has different triggers for the different places of acne on the face, things like that. But the main root cause for everybody across the board would be poor elimination through the main organs as well as colon toxicity. So almost everyone will suffer with some sort of acne at some point in their lives. I don't think I can say I've come across anyone really who hasn't had acne at some point. Looking at the face, and of course other parts of the body as well, that are affected with acne, it can be a great tool to determine what the underlying issues are. So I'm going to go through two sections. One section of this podcast, we are going to be discussing specifically acne on the face and where it may be stemming from. The second part will go into discussing overall body health and what nutritional deficiencies may be present. Now, I keep talking about acne specifically, but to be honest, there's a lot of information to be shared about skin issues like eczema or rosacea and, other things on the face. And I'll touch a little bit on that today as well. So let's just start before we get into going into the acne and the face mapping in regards to acne. I want to go on some common conditions that I immediately look out for when I'm talking to someone. And this is not to sound like I'm judging people as soon as I'm talking to someone. This is genuinely just things I pick up on. Being a practitioner and working in this field, it's impossible for me to not notice these things, but I want to share them with you. You can look out for them in yourself or in someone you know and maybe be like, hey, you have this symptom in your face. This might be related to that. Maybe you should work with a practitioner or try to do some things to improve your health. So let's just dive in. The first thing is the eyes. Now there's a whole topic, a whole field called iridology, which is incredibly fascinating. I am absolutely obsessed, and it's something I'm continuing education in, and I'm hoping to offer it as a service in the foreseeable future. It is such a fascinating field, and essentially iridology is using the eyes and every tiny detail of your eyes to determine every little thing about your health. It is incredible. I would recommend you guys look into it if you have not heard of it, and you can even see if there's a practitioner in your area that offers this service. Essentially, they will take a photo of your eye and zoom in so far to see every vein. And using that information, they can tell from the tone and the color of the eye, from the veins and everything else, what's going on in your system. It's incredible. But one thing that I say, you don't need a camera for this. You can look at someone's eyes and immediately tell the status of their liver, of their kidneys, the health of their body by looking at the white part of the eye. If you see someone who has yellowing at all in the white part of the eye, whether it's a yellow dot or a brown spot or the whole white part is tinted yellow, that indicates severe liver toxicity. It's something that typically doctors overlook, don't consider to be a sign, but when there is yellowing in the eye, it's indicating that the liver is not eliminating correctly or adequately, and that is what you're seeing in the eye. So the first thing I notice when I talk to people is the tone and color of their eyes. I'm looking at the iris, we're looking at the whole eye, but mainly we're just trying to see when I'm working with someone or even just talking to someone, the health of that person. The whiter that white part of your eye is, the better. It's indicating that your body is detoxifying very well. And I will use myself as a testimony here. When I was going through my very toxic period in my life, eating all the bad foods and just, complete garbage. I made a whole podcast episode on that. It was actually the first episode, so you guys can listen if you want to know my backstory. But I had quite yellow eyes. It wasn't anything severe, but you could notice that there was yellowing in my eyes. And then I went through major detoxing and drainage for years. And then I had an iridology session, and the doctor zoomed into the white part of my eye for me after he took the photo, and it was pure white. And I felt so proud. He was just immediately like, I can tell you've done some major detoxing because your eyes are white. And it just made me so proud. I was so happy to see that. And you could see like the before and afters. It was so impressive to be able to see where my health used to be. And it's so visible in just the eyes. So anyway, that's what I wanted to share about the eyes. Is that's the first thing I will notice about anyone, is just looking at them, their eye status. The second thing is when you are looking at a person, immediately, if you're seeing redness at all in the face, it's going to indicate inflammation. Now, obviously, this is going to vary from person to person. Some people who are very fair skinned will be more red because obviously, if the lighter the skin, the more blood you can see in the surface or beneath the surface. I know some people will be blushing. If they're nervous, that's going to affect them. But I'm talking about the average person who generally is not overly red, typically from expressions. So if you're looking at a person and they're not normally red when they're excited, or they're not normally red when they're talking to you from expressions, and then you suddenly start to see redness in their face, typically like around the cheeks, the nose, that is an indication of inflammation. So it can be rosacea. Rosacea is inflammation in the skin, but it stems from the stomach. So anyone with rosacea usually has an out of balance stomach. The body is not digesting properly. It's creating inflammation as a result of that. And typically to fix rosacea, you need to fix the stomach. So they're usually connected. It's rare that I've actually worked with someone who has had stomach issues like gastritis or hiatal hernias and has not had rosacea to some degree. So it is normal to see someone who has who has stomach issues to have rosacea, or someone who has rosacea to have stomach issues. So if I'm looking at someone and there's some of that inflammation in their skin, I can tell that their stomach is not doing so great. And that's just a sign that they need to improve their digestion, improve their gut a little bit more. Now, another thing that I see that I really notice a lot are people who have very, very dry skin. We're going to go into what dry skin means and what that entails. But essentially, you look at somebody with dry skin and immediately I'm noticing there is essential fat deficiencies, but it goes so beyond that. I work with people who have extremely dry skin and they are eating all the cod liver oils and all the wild caught fish and all the avocados and the nuts and the seeds. So what's the problem? They're obviously not lacking fats in their diet. The problem is actually from the metabolism. Their body has lost the ability to assimilate fats through the metabolic process, and so they are not actually hydrating the skin cells with the omega-3 fats. Their body has lost that ability. So the skin cells are dehydrated. They're very dry, but no matter how much fat they eat, they're not actually absorbing it. So what needs to be done here is really a good metabolic reset. You need to clean out the cells, rebalance the cells and the metabolism, and get the body to start assimilating fats better. All right, so let's get into acne face mapping. So if you have acne, it doesn't matter the kind, okay? There's those really large cystic acnes. There's the little tiny white pimples or bumps. There's obviously blackheads. There's so many different forms of acne that you could have. So regardless, if you have acne on your chin, very commonly it's a result of an underactive stomach and can also be hormonal related, usually androgen excess. So especially if you have PCOS, if you have excess hair on your body, if you have elevated testosterone levels or low estrogen levels, typically, or high like a major adrenal output, typically you can notice some acne on your chin. Chest and back acne, this is not part of face mapping, but I'm going to include it because I think it's important. Chest and back acne will indicate toxicity in the colon. So a lot of times, if you are sensitive to sugar or dairy and you're eating a lot of it, you're going to have acne on the back and on the chest. And that's just coming from the colon being really toxic and having a lot of pathogens there. And when you do a good pathogen cleanse, cut out things like dairy and sugar from your diet and seed oils, your acne should improve dramatically on your chest and your back. Now, forehead acne or acne on the nose, so that T-zone, will indicate liver sluggishness or liver toxicity, and usually it's a result of stress, but not always. So anytime you're seeing acne on the forehead or nose, so if it starts to pop up, you can ask yourself, have I been extra stressed lately? And if the answer is yes, that's probably why your body is using your skin as an emunctory. Your body produces quite a bit of toxicity and inflammation when we're stressed out. And then if the liver is toxic or sluggish and it's not able to eliminate these toxins quickly enough, our body's just going to go to the next largest organ, which is our skin, and it's going to try to push it out through there. And typically that will be that forehead nose area. Acne on the cheeks will almost always indicate allergies or food sensitivity. So I see this very commonly when someone has acne on the cheeks. The first thing I do is I go to their diet and I'm like, what foods are you eating that you are sensitive or allergic to? Typically, I recommend they do an IgE and an IgG test. And once they get the results back and cut out the foods that they cannot tolerate, typically the acne clears up. Of course, like I said at the beginning part of this podcast, it is really important. Anytime you have acne anywhere on the body, you should be always pairing whatever tools you're using with a liver and kidney cleanse and a colon cleanse, because it's still at the end of the day coming from the fact that your body cannot excrete toxins through the main emunctories, and so it is using the skin as an emunctory. So even if it is from an underactive stomach or from allergies or something else, you still want to get to the very root of the problem, which is cleaning out the body, removing toxins, and then at the same time cutting out allergies or things like that. If you have acne on your jawline, this is almost always hormonal, as is acne on your temple. So like right around your ear area, the sides of your head near your hairline, any acne there or any acne on your jawline is a hormonal, usually again that androgen excess. So if you have again that PCOS or adrenal overload, things like that, you're going to have androgen excess, which is that male type hormone, and that's where you would see the acne as a result. At the same time, greasy food, so if you went out and had like deep fried food and stuff, the grease from that food can also be pushed out through the skin, and typically it would pop up on the jawline for the most part. Any acne around or really close to the lips will also indicate hormonal imbalance, but mainly from menstruation. So typically if you're getting acne around this area, commonly, again, there's always going to be that time where it's not always the case, but for the most part, you'll notice that around your menstruation, if there's a hormonal imbalance that's present. So that's what you can look out for with the acne side of things. Now, moving into nutritional status, facial and body mapping. So we're not just going to stick to the face here. I want to go through some main things to look for. We're going to start with the scalp. Scalp dryness or that seborrheic dermatitis usually will indicate that there is EFA deficiency. So you would need to take essential fatty acids and vitamin A. Usually there's a vitamin A deficiency related to dryness in the scalp or that seborrheic dermatitis. But there's usually always, when there's any kind of dandruff or flaking on the scalp, you want to be looking at a fungal cleanse. There's usually, especially with seborrheic dermatitis, there's usually yeast or fungal component that needs to be addressed. Also with the scalp, if you have dandruff or hair loss, you want to be looking into doing vitamin B6, sulfur. You could use like a sulfur-based like N-acetylcysteine, like an amino acid. You could use glutathione or even sulfur homeopathic. Protein deficiency is very common when there's hair loss and dandruff. At the same time, hair loss can go a bit further. You might need to do some iron, and you might want to look at your thyroid and female hormones as well, and make sure that those are in balance, as those usually play a role as well. And finally, with dandruff and hair loss, you want to look into taking selenium as well. For the face, if you have acne on your face or any kind of water retention in the face, so any edema, you want to be considering zinc, vitamin A, hydrochloric acid if you have a betaine HCl deficiency. So if your stomach is not digesting well, you want to consider supplementing with that. And you also want to be making sure you're getting enough protein in your diet. Lastly, for any edema in the face or really anywhere in the body, if you feel like there's a lot of fluid in your skin, under your skin, you feel like you're holding on to water, that's where you want to do that drainage. Again, liver and kidney drainage should always be at the core of all of this. Your kidneys are what is going to be releasing excess fluid, and if they're not functioning optimally. You also want to lower like just pure sodium in your diet. So salt, we want lots of. If it's like a sea salt, a Himalayan salt, because it's full of nutrients and minerals. But like table salt, sodium, what you would get in like a bag of chips or something like that, you want to limit, because we don't want too much sodium. Our body it makes our body hold on to water. We want to do more mineral salts if we can. Moving to the eyes, if you have dry, red eyes or are really sensitive to light, you want to do vitamin A, vitamin B2, and vitamin B6. There's also a beautiful supplement. It's called OcuGen, OCU-GEN from Genestra, and it is meant to support your eye health. Check with your practitioner before taking it, but it is a beautiful supplement to just bring those bioflavonoids and antioxidants to the eyes. If you have puffy eyes or dark circles around your eyes, this is going to indicate, especially the puffiness, will indicate allergies to food or even your environment, but also poor kidney function. So anytime I see someone who has big, like dark circles under their eyes, it tells me that their kidneys are not functioning optimally. And when you start to drain and eliminate through the kidneys and improve iron status, a lot of times that dark circles or the puffiness will start to go away and the under eyes will be much brighter. Let's move to the lips. So the lips, if you have any cankers or fissures in the corner of your mouth or dry lips, this is indicating that you first and foremost need to do a pathogen cleanse. So usually there's fungal or some kind of yeast overgrowth. It also indicates food sensitivities, so inflammation. And thirdly, you want to be supplementing with vitamins B2, B3, and omega-3 fatty acids, so specifically something like a fish oil. Moving to the tongue, if you have red or irritated tongue, you're going to need to be doing vitamins B2, B3, B12, folate, and iron. So I recommend doing a B complex, taking it with some iron. You could do like a grass-fed bovine liver capsule. That would work well. At the same time, though, if you have any any white on your tongue, not redness, any white coating or yellow coating on the tongue or on the gums, this is indicating yeast or fungal overgrowth, so that would need to be doing a good fungal or pathogen cleanse. For the gums, if you have bleeding or tender gums or even receding gums, you want to be doing vitamin C, CoQ10, coenzyme Q10, or ubiquinol. Ubiquinol is better absorbed than the CoQ10. You also want to consider doing oak. So the oak tree is a huge, large, grounding, strong tree. So supplementally, when we take oak, it is strengthening our gums. So if you have receding gums or they're sensitive, doing a supplement called PeridGen from Genestra, it's PERID-GEN. You can, or just doing an oak bud phytogen, you can just literally put it in your mouth and rub it around your gums with your tongue every single day, can really help to strengthen and nourish the gums. Moving to the skin, if you just have easy bruising in general, that's going to indicate vitamin C deficiency usually. But if you also have bruising, but at the same time or on its own have stretch marks, you also want to be considering vitamins A, vitamin E, vitamin K, and omega-3 fats, so essential fatty acids, again, that fish oil. I also usually will recommend that, anyone who is having the stretch marks will also consider hydrating. So a lot of times if your skin is not elastic enough, to a certain extent, it could indicate that you need hydration. You might need salt, like a proper salt in your diet, like a sea salt, or you might need just to be drinking more water. You might need more protein as well. Moving to nails. So nails, if they are thin or splitting, you want to be taking magnesium, zinc, manganese, copper, and again, those EFAs, those essential fatty acids. You can get this through a multivitamin. You can use oligo elements, which I will be doing a whole podcast on oligo elements, explaining what they are, how they work, why they're needed. But you can look into it in the meantime. These are some minerals you want to be taking to support your nail strength. Also for tissue salts, I love using some like tissue salts such as Calcarea carbonica to help strengthen the nails. You could use silica or silicia as well. These will help to bring some strength to the nails, but they take time to replenish, so you might need to be on the cell salts or tissue salts for a while. Now, if there's white spots on your nails, this will usually indicate a zinc deficiency, so you might want to supplement with some zinc. I know people usually say it's a calcium deficiency, but that's actually a myth. So white spots on the nails, you need zinc. If your nails are spoon-shaped, so kind of lifting up almost at the edges, almost like a spoon, that indicates an iron deficiency, so you want to be supplementing with iron. If your nails look like they've been hammered, so there's like little dots, almost like hammered brass, that also indicates an iron deficiency, but it could also indicate that you might have psoriasis or could be a result of psoriasis. Now, going to your muscles, if you find that your muscles are fatiguing excessively, you go for a walk and your muscles are exhausted, or you do a little trip up the stairs and you're like, my muscles are so weak, you might need carnitine, L-carnitine, and CoQ10. I would recommend both coenzyme Q10 and carnitine to help strengthen your muscles. There's obviously so much more than what I just touched on today, but this is just a little taste of what you could notice just by looking at someone or looking at yourself, what your body's telling you. Every single symptom we have, every issue with our skin, with our hair, with our nails, with our appearance, is not just something we have to deal with because we're getting older or it's part of life. There's a reason, and our body's using this to tell us there's a nutrient imbalance or deficiency, or there's inflammation, or there is toxicity, or there are allergies. Let's get this sorted so we can get our bodies back, and that's what your body's telling you. So taking these cues from the body and not ignoring them, but replenishing and nourishing the body will take you so far, and you will be shocked at how beautiful your skin is, how healthy you look just by working on nutrition. So again, the difference between someone who ages really well and someone who just looks much older than they actually are is sure a little bit genetic, but the biggest factor is deficiencies of nutrients, because again, genetics are the gun, lifestyle, diet is the trigger. So if you have the genetics to age poorly, but you are on point with your nutrition and your health and keeping inflammation low, you will not activate those genes, if that makes sense. So always look to nutrition. I think it's important that everybody just eats a really healthy, well-balanced diet full of vegetables and some fruit and a couple whole grains, lots of protein, some healthy fats from nuts and seeds, avoiding seed oils as much as you can, avoiding sugars as much as you can, and dairy and gluten and anything processed, and you will be having enough nourishment to fuel your body. And if you do have that liver or kidney toxicity, which I honestly believe almost every single person does today in our modern world with the high toxic levels, it's a good idea to love those organs a little bit, do a good detox for them, and you will be amazed at how good your skin looks once your organs can actually detoxify through your urine and your stool rather than pushing toxins out through your skin. Your acne would clear up, everything will start to improve. So that's it for me for today. Face mapping is something that's so fun. I might do a part 2, depending on how many listens I get on this podcast and how many requests I get, but it's definitely something that you can really look into more on your own if you're fascinated by this topic, and if you can find a practitioner who can help support you in these areas that you feel might be lacking, then you can work on improving your skin and your hydration to your skin and all that good stuff. Anyway, thank you so much for listening to episode 18. I hope you have a beautiful day or night wherever you are listening from, and I will talk to you in the next episode.